Peace and blessings. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Google Hangout tonight, where we're going to be talking about how your womb is your second heart. I'm really excited because this is kind of the core of why the work that I do with the womb sauna is so impactful. My philosophy behind healing, especially for women when it comes to womb health, is that you have to address your mental, emotional, spiritual self to achieve physical healing. There are no shortcuts to that. There is no way around it. If you want to be whole, if you want to be complete, if you want to see a physical change in your body, you have to address all of your human composition. And you are a lot more than just flesh and bone. So tonight, as we connect, we're going to talk about how emotions get stored in your womb, what the heart and the womb's connection is, how both of those organ systems and organs even correspond to each other, and how what has happened or what is happening in your emotions absolutely contributes to your state of health. So let me just quickly introduce myself, tell you why we're even doing these hangouts, and just get the tone set for tonight. So first and foremost, for those who may not know who I am the Reverend and High Priestess Tama Aziz Serwa. I am the pioneer and founder of the company, The Womb Sauna, which started off as just providing our signature method of vaginal steaming. We have a unique expression of that. But it has quickly evolved into so much more. We provide several services. We have a product line of herbs that are infused with gemstone and flower essences that women can take to nurture not just their physical body, but their emotional and spiritual body as well. And so that's the backdrop to our company. And as I've shared publicly, if you've listened to any of our lectures, hangouts, or any of the information that I put out, what started this journey for me is my own need to heal. And I was diagnosed with something called PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. In my 20s, I was told that I was infertile, and the only way I would ever conceive would be through in vitro fertilization. I went through a divorce. I went through heartbreak that I never thought I would have to go through in my life. So the stuff that I bring to you, I'm bringing to you because I've tried it and seen the fruit of it. I don't preach, I don't teach anything that I really am not passionate about and cannot measure the impact for myself. And so, having had to walk through doing the work of healing my heart, healing my emotions, getting clear on how to create a process to process my emotions, all of that is what has contributed to me now being able to share that I'm on the other side of all of that. I'm healed. I'm whole, I'm complete. And I also teach that healing is not a one-time event in your life. As your body changes every year, as life teaches you different things, there are always opportunities to grow in your wisdom and your consciousness and re-examine where you are with your health. So that's what I want to do tonight. So this is our second hangout in a series of hangouts that are preparing us for an amazing, amazing experience in the fall. And that is a 6-week womb healing intensive. I'm so passionate about this. Spirit dropped it in me to just hold space for women for 6 weeks to bring structure and accountability to your transformational process. This intensive is geared towards women who have the information about what they need to do to be good to themselves, to heal, to move forward in life, but you've been dealing with that energy of feeling stuck, or you're finding that even when you're given the information, you're not using it. You're not doing the work. There's something about accountability. There's something about community that allows you to be able to do the work, to say, you know what? I'm motivated. And I got people who are saying, yes, this is week 1, let's get moving. Yes, week 2, who are cheering me on. And so in preparing our minds for what we're going to talk about, I'm doing these hangouts to get you ready. There are portals within your body, specifically within your reproductive system, that allow you to access raw, unapologetic power to be the fullness of who you are. And so, as the one that'll be holding that space for you for 6 weeks, I'm going to be hand walking you through how to access these portals. What is the message and the vibration of your ovaries, of your uterus, of your fallopian tubes, of your cervix, of your breast? Not just explain to me the system, and we're going to do that over that 6-week period too. That's very important. But I'm going to take you even deeper. I'm going to teach you stuff they didn't teach you in sex ed about the power you hold as a woman in our 6-week womb healing intensive. So all of these Google Hangouts are laying the foundation for you to get ready. Because in the fall time, going into that season of the year, that's harvest time. And I can guarantee that whatever you've been doing throughout the year, you'll take a look at. It'll be staring you in the face because it'll be popping out the ground. And you'll be examining if the way you've been living your life this year is working for you or not. And so this intensive was going to provide accountability and structure for you to adjust things in preparation for next year, to have support to connect with other women who want to do the same. And you know my philosophy behind that. We've talked about that on Google Hangouts before, the power of sisterhood and community. So you don't want to miss that. So for those of you who want to be a part of that, we're in early registration mode. The intensive starts in September. All right, and it's going to run into October for 6 weeks. The way you get information about it is you go to our website, thewombsauna.com, go to our event tab, and you'll see register for an upcoming event. Just scroll down and you'll see the 6-week womb healing intensive with the full itinerary. If you register before July 31st, you get a financial incentive. I know how to move my folks. I know we love a deal. So there is a financial incentive for those of you who are feeling that tug in your spirit for more accountability. Again, this 6-week womb healing intensive is geared for those of you who sit on the knowledge you have. You've already read the books about what to eat. You've already read and watched videos on how to clear your heart chakra and all this great stuff, but you're not seeing the fruit in your life. Something happens between that moment of information and hearing it and the moment of when it's time to apply it and walk in it that you haven't closed the gap on. This intensive will allow you to close the gap and truly access your power to manifest and create the life you want to live before the end of this year. 2015 is the year of demonstration. It's time to walk in the fullness of who you are, my loves. So I can't wait. Women have already started signing up, so you don't want to miss this opportunity. After July 31st, registration will remain open until September, but the rate goes up. So if you really feel that tug in your spirit for more accountability and structure in your healing process and your evolution, that's really what it is. You want to go ahead and secure that early registration. All right, so let's talk about your womb and your heart. On one of our previous Moments of Power calls, we talked about how to detox your heart or your emotional body. And I wanted to share some of that information with you in this hangout in case some of you weren't on that call and you didn't get access to the recording for that. But when you think about your heart is the tool that was literally given to you to access your power of balance, of unconditional love, and courage. All right, I'm going to say that again. Your heart is the tool given to you to access your power of balance, unconditional love, and courage. And for those of you who are hopping on, we got more and more viewers coming on. Make sure you grab some pen and paper because there's going to be some things I want you to process and write out as we talk tonight. So your heart, the organ in your heart, literally circulates all the blood and energy needed for you to sustain life. This is a very powerful organ. Your heart physiologically is always the size of your fist. Size of your fist. That's always the size of your heart. And there's a deeper meaning to that. I want you to pay attention to that. Because women who tend to feel very aggressive, defensive, and all of that, they tend to carry a lot of energy and they don't even realize how that's shaping and molding their physical anatomy, how that's affecting your organs. You know, women who tend to put on more weight and all of that, there's a direct correlation between how they process their emotions and how they store weight on their body, how they evolve over time. Okay, so when you were in your mother's womb, your heart developed before your brain. Within 3 weeks of your conception, and it was sitting high up in your chest. And your heart, while you were in a safe space of growth, your mother's womb, was 9 times the size of your entire body. Powerful organ. I want you to hear how it develops in the process, and I'm going to break down some of the underlying meanings of that. All right. So as you develop, your heart had a journey, and it began to journey from that higher position in your chest to a lower position. So by the time you were born, your heart sat in your solar plexus chakra. And for those of you who are familiar with the solar plexus, you know that that is the chakra of willpower. Willpower. And your heart literally positions itself there. It's in your midsection for a couple of weeks after your birth. A lot of people don't know that about the heart. So after you get familiar with planet Earth, you're born, you're here, that is when your heart moves back into your chest cavity, neatly protected, beating life, pumping blood. And as a child, the hearts of children beat faster than the hearts of adults. Where there is rapid growth, there's a need for more rhythm. So where there's less social programming, trauma, and remembrance of who you came into this world to be, the heart will beat faster. I want you to take a good look with where you are in your life right now. And how is your heart? Not just your physical heart, but let's shift into your emotional and spiritual heart. All right, so I told you, grab some pen and paper if you can, or make a mental note of this. I want you to really write down one word to describe how your heart is doing. Whatever is the first word that comes to your mind. Whatever it is that comes to your mind. The heart is an organ that is all about unconditional love and power and balance. And if something is going on with your emotions, you know, unaddressed over time, this is how people get strokes and heart attacks and all of that. Because they have not learned how to process their emotions. So yes, tonight we're going to take inventory. Are you really good, my sister? Or are you storing some stuff? Because what gets stored in your heart, what gets unprocessed in your emotions, sits in your womb. And that contributes to the many experiences that we're seeing of fibroids and infertility and painful cycles and PMS and unhealthy bleeding and all of that. There is a direct correlation, and holistic practitioners, master teachers of the past 50 plus years have been mapping this out, putting it in books, putting it in lectures. I'm not telling you I can guarantee something that you are unfamiliar with. So tonight is the hour of accountability. What are you ready to do about it? So what is that? Write it down on some paper. What is, with where you are right now in your life, the condition of your heart? What's one word to describe how your heart is doing? Okay. Metaphysically, when you talk about what's going on with your heart in the womb, and even if you look at the physical anatomy of your womb, you know, you have the uterus and the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. And then you have everything that comes down to a point with the cervix. It's like an upside down heart. Some people have caught that. Some people didn't know that. But even if you just look, if you Google real quick an image search of the reproductive organs and you flip it upside down, it's like an upside down heart. Even your physical anatomy is trying to tell you there's a connection between your emotional state, what's going on in the higher aspects of your being, and how that affects what goes on in the lower aspects of your being. Here and here, absolutely connected in time. So anyway, when you're taking a look at this, yeah, there are tools you can use for your emotions, for your heart, for your womb. You can use the rose quartz. You can use heart chakra meditations. You can use great books on love and all of these things. But in order for these tools to be impactful, you have to look at what you need to give yourself to move forward. So for example, I've worked with a lot of women who've had sexual traumas, a lot of women who are like myself and had to deal with divorce or breakups of long-term relationships. And that is a form of trauma emotionally. It took me weeks to put my feet on the ground when my heart was broken, going through that divorce. And I have no shame in that. I was broken. I didn't ever foresee that coming. And it literally called me into such a dark space that the only way out was to walk into light and face that here I was, an adult who was never taught the tools to know how to process heartbreak. And how did that show up in me? Both of my ovaries filled up with cysts, not one or two. But I was able to make the connection when I came across Louise Hay's work. And she has a glossary called Heal Yourself from A to Z. Best $6 I ever spent on Amazon. And you can look up any physical imbalance from corns and bunions to asthma. And so I looked up ovarian cysts. And what did it say? Nursing a hurt from a partner, taking a blow to your feminine ego. When I got my first pelvic ultrasound to try to understand why I was having pain in my ovaries, it would feel like somebody was taking a sword and slowly sticking it in and slowly pulling it out. My ovaries had no cysts at all. My blood work said my hormones were normal. They could not explain it. I endured the discomfort for 6 months, and after 6 months of it, I went back to my doctor and said, listen, something is going on. You have to do another test or something to help me understand what's happening. 6 months later, both of my ovaries were full of cysts, not one or two, full of cysts. What happened in that 6-month time span? That was when I separated from my now ex-husband, and my body's way of responding to my inability to know how to process that in a healthy way was to grow cysts, was to be in physical pain and represent the emotional pain that I had stored because I didn't know how to process it. So I'm sharing the backdrop to how I began to understand a connection between my emotions and my womb. Your womb is like a recording system. She holds all the information. When women come to the womb sauna and they get in the sauna and we're working through their womb story, I can always pinpoint where the blockage is, because the first thing a woman will say is, well, I don't know, Tama. I don't know why I feel the way. I don't know why I made that decision. And I'll say, but your womb does. And I'll walk them through breathing techniques and how to connect to their wombs. And just like that, the memories and the information that they need pops up. I didn't even remember my womb story until 2009. My way of processing my traumas from my childhood into adulthood was through amnesia. But I'm telling you, when I began womb healing work, that was a game changer. And all that I had suppressed and tried to forget and sweep under the rug was in my face. My womb said, oh, you want me to be whole? You want to be complete? You want to be healed? You have to look at this stuff. And I had been storing stuff that I didn't even think was that serious, like how I felt about my crush who rejected me in elementary school. I said, seriously, that's sitting in here? Like, I'm so like over that. So happy that it didn't go further than a crush. But until you understand your emotional development and you take a good look at how you process things, if you don't process it, the energy of it doesn't disappear. And I don't care how many affirmations you chant a day. I don't care how many herbs you drinking and taking. If you do not get tools to learn how to process your emotions, you will not be able to fully experience the power of being a woman and having your womb whole, complete, and healed. It is hand in hand. There are no shortcuts with this. All right. So with that being said, the biggest thing that interferes with our ability to get clear and face some of our emotional wounds and some of the energy that we store is our ego. We tend to at times judge ourselves, especially if it happened 10, 15 years ago. You'll say things like, I should just be over it. But then every time it's time for you to love again, every time it's time for you to open up, every time it's time for you to move forward and be confident and make a shift, something makes you freeze and get stuck. And you rationalize it away by saying, oh, that was so long ago, or no, I'm over that. And when I hear that, one of the things I ask my clients is, well, what was your process to get over it? And most of them initially didn't have one. Well, I turned it over to God and I worked it out. What does that mean? What steps have you taken to really release some stuff, process it, and move forward? Going numb is not an indication of being healed and over it. It's an indication of, I don't know what to do. So to survive, I've turned my emotional switch off. But that does not change what happens to your body that is responsible for storing that energy. Just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not there. So the only way to take inventory of that is to really go deep within and say, okay, what's going on inside of me emotionally? And that process may mean that you may feel some anger, you may feel some sadness. But let me tell you the key. You are not what you feel. Behind your emotions, behind your talents and your gifts, behind the things that you're good at is the real you. The powerful you that before you was even in your mother's womb was with the Most High saying, I'm ready to sign up for my lessons that I need to master on planet Earth. And you already knew that part of your journey would include some pain. But it didn't intimidate you, it didn't shut you down because you knew how powerful you are. So when you came out of your mother's womb, that began your journey of remembering who you really are in your core. And the core of yourself is fully equipped to deal with the emotions that you are going to experience in this life. You are absolutely going to have a variety of emotions because you are a human being. So you need to step to doing the work of learning what to do with these emotions. Okay, I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling loneliness. I'm feeling sadness. What is my plan to process, acknowledge what I'm feeling in a healthy way that will take me higher and take me into my truth that I'm okay? So sometimes that plan may look like journaling. Sometimes that plan needs to look like therapy. There are certain traumas you experience in this life that you need a therapeutic process for. And there are people who specialize in holistic therapy that can be a part of your healing team, your squad, and provide support for you in that way. Part of the process may mean I need to have a conversation with someone. Not for them to acknowledge, validate, or even apologize for how I feel. Very important. Because if you approach it that way, you are handing off your power to somebody else's response to your truth. If you're going to have a conversation with someone else, make it all about you. They may not agree. They may not see it. They may not own it. They may not apologize for it. But I have decided that part of my process of creating peace for myself is confrontation. It's to speak my truth, regardless of how you feel, or acknowledge it. And walk away or get out, hang up the phone. But there's nobody on the street corner handing out peace. Let's be very clear that if you are having some emotional turmoil, the way out is for you to sit down and come up with a plan and say, okay, what do I need that I can give myself to have peace and closure? What is my plan? When anger shows up, if that's one of your primary emotions that you keep recognizing, this keeps showing up for me. These triggers keep getting fired. You got to pinpoint those triggers. I'm the type of woman that used to put holes in the wall because my rage would get so big. And the trigger was always my mate. There are things that my partner can take me into that nobody else can do. And anybody else out there who is married, you know what I mean. There are certain things that your boo thing can do, honey, that button gets pushed and only your loved one can push it. All right? Well, in my first marriage, I would explode. You know, there's different expressions of anger. There's the passive aggressive prototype. I'm not that. I'm straight fire, brimstone, skull and bones. You're going to know when I'm mad, and you're going to know exactly what I'm doing about it. And so in my, first marriage, I would put holes in the wall. I would put my fist through walls. That's how much adrenaline would get pumping. That's how angry I would get. I didn't have other tools. I didn't know how to not aggressively, violently process what I was feeling in those moments. And it took years for me to master that. The first step was to identify the triggers. What is it that even got me to that point? What is it that has shut you down, that every time an opportunity to love and become open, there's anxiety, there's fear, there's stress? What is it that has happened in your life that when it's time to make a connection to another woman, you shut down and give yourself the narrative that, oh, I don't get along with sisters? Is it that you didn't get along with your mama? And now every woman after her has to get through your defense system you've created for yourself because you haven't healed that wound? Is that what's really going on? You got to look at these things. What is it that's setting you off? That's keeping you emotionally closed? And anger is just one expression. But there's other layers to this as well. For the women who overgive, what are the emotions behind that behavior? I can guarantee that somewhere within your consciousness, you have not accepted your true value. So you try to prove your worth in relationships and in relating to people through giving too much away, thinking that would somehow add value to the experience of you. But you don't have nothing to prove. So where did that even come from? When was the first time in your life where you felt like, I got to prove that I'm valuable? We have to peel back these layers because you cannot heal your wound without going into that depth. It is our ego that makes us rationalize and feel like I'm good. No, I moved on. Oh, you will know yourself by your fruit. If you really have moved on, if you really are good, then there's certain experiences you should not be having, my love. And you can talk about it all you want. If your body is still communicating an imbalance, if your womb is saying, I am heavy, I am at capacity, I cannot hold in this stuff that's been accumulating year after year, it's time to get tools and learn how to process this stuff. If that is the message of your womb, and it may show up, like I said, through fibroids, pain, or whatever the manifestation is, you got to listen. You got to come up with a plan. Start getting those tools and face it. And you'll be able to begin to measure. Because as I, with my story, when I began to do my healing work and get tools to process my anger and my pain, the cyst began to be gone. It got to a point where doctors said, maybe we misdiagnosed you. The irregularities I was having with my cycle, gone. The pain, gone. And I will be so transparent and tell you, it wasn't the nutritional shifts. It wasn't none of that, because I made all of those. And I still was having the physical imbalance. It took a whole lot more than that. It was deeper than that. I had to get to the root cause of it, which was my emotional health. I was holding a lot of toxicity in me that I did not know how to process and release. It wasn't that I didn't want to hold all of that in. I didn't know. And I didn't know because mama didn't know. Mama didn't know because grandma didn't know. And so it also gave me the opportunity to create a new generational blessing in my bloodline, because I accepted that the torch was in my hand and I was being called to get the tools that other women in my family could not teach me. And that positioned me to then give a new legacy to my child about how to handle your emotions. Think about your development as a child and what conversations were you able to have with your mom or your dad, if you had both in your home, or whoever raised you, about what to do with your emotions. Did you grow up in an environment where when you cried and got upset, oh girl, just get over it, but they never told you how? You're just supposed to wake up tomorrow and not be feeling what you're feeling. It's those foundational moments in your life that set you up to not have the tools today. And it ain't meaning to harm. There was no malice behind that. But again, people can't give what they don't have. So if you came from a family where it was not okay to be crying and sad and sucking your thumb in the corner, they wanted you to hurry up and get past whatever it was. That's why there's resistance in you about going into those dark spaces within yourself. But every cultural text about spirituality teaches us the power of those dark spaces, that out of darkness comes light. Out of that void that is within you comes something powerful when you choose to go into that space with yourself and give yourself permission to learn from what you are feeling. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your emotions. What is not working is how you process them or not process them at all. And again, being numb is not going to get you through. Rationalizing why you're over it while the evidence has not manifested in your body or your life is not logical. It's not going to get you through 2015, my love. This is the year of demonstration. It's time to take all of that knowledge that you've gathered and start applying it at a deeper level and taking a good look and saying, okay, I recognize that every time I get to a certain point in an experience, I emotionally shut down. Maybe it's because of fear, of abandonment, fear of rejection, whatever it is. You got to take a look at that, and then you got to come up with a plan and say, so what am I going to do? So that's part of what we're going to be working through in that 6-week womb healing intensive. Not only are you going to learn the tools and how to create the plan, you're also going to have support and accountability, so that when you need a soft place to lay your head, you have it. When you have to go back to something 15, 20 years old, there's somebody that can metaphorically hold your hand and say, you're strong enough to do this. You're strong enough to face this, and let it go. Your womb is the second largest organ in your body next to your intestines. It can hold a whole lot. But the fact that so many women are dealing with womb imbalances right now is an indication that we as women have not learned how to let stuff go. how to process our emotions. And being in a patriarchal culture that has such a sick issue with women, they're not interested. Whoever they are, the people who created this design, this blueprint of oppressing women and finding us at fault for what's wrong in the world, they're not interested in your emotional evolution, but the planet is, the divine mother and father is, and this is the age of awakening. And we are beginning to see women move and speak up in ways that are necessary for the generations to come. Yes, what is going on in your emotions is directly affecting your physical health, and especially your womb. Your womb is not an organ that will only create life. When other systems in the body begin to malfunction and fail, especially due to stress, your womb compensates for it. This is why you can identify with a lot of athletic women who are too athletic, that their menstrual cycles become irregular. When stress comes into the body, all that cortisol that is being pumped out, what that does to your physical body is it makes it think that there's a big grizzly bear in the room 24/7, and you could be sitting there trying to put your feet up watching TV, but if that cortisol is out of control, your body thinks there's a lion getting ready to pounce on you. When you are in that chronic state of stress, which by the way can be one of the #1 killers in this country, when you are in that chronic state of stress, absolutely your womb says, I don't think this is an appropriate time to make a child. I don't even know if menstruating in a fluid, powerful way is a good idea right now, because something's going on in this body and it's not safe in this world. That's what your body thinks. And your mind and your ego was like, well, I'm just chilling in the living room watching TV. But if you haven't learned how to release that stuff, get that stuff off of you at a physical, emotional, spiritual level, the body over time begins to shut down in certain ways. So years of that builds up in your womb, creates growths. When I teach about fibroids, I teach that fibroids are a representation of what you're hiding within yourself that you have not addressed. And if we start addressing what's hidden, then fibroids have done their job and can go. Your body is not trying to work against you. Your womb is not trying to work against you. She's trying to wake you up. She's ringing an alarm. Something is not working in your life. Pinpoint it, address it. Maybe if I cramp up severely, that'll be enough for her to finally face what happened between her and her daddy. Maybe if I grow scar tissue everywhere, that will help her see that there's no more room within me to hold her anger and her self-judgment. These are all messages and communication that your womb is trying to give you about what you are holding in that you haven't learned how to address in a healthy way. And then some of us are on the other side, where we've been blessed enough, to get rid of these physical imbalances. So the lesson for you now becomes, how do I access that raw, feminine power that my womb stores to manifest the life I want to live? When your womb is healthy, money shouldn't be an issue. We just did our call about your womb and your money, because your womb has the blueprint of the universe. And abundance is a universal principle. And your womb absolutely has access to cosmic resources. You can pull down and create a human being on this planet. You can't get 10 grand. Something's out of balance. And that's real. You got to look at that. And you don't have to judge it. See, this is the thing. When it comes to the healing process and at the depth I'm talking about, here's what's important. And that's what was the driving force behind this womb healing intensive that I'm inviting you to. You don't have to look at this stuff and judge it. Judging it is counterproductive. You look at it from the perspective that I am powerful enough to move through this and shift it. And that is why I'm ready to take a look at it. Because I know that when I'm done understanding this and getting the lesson from it, I'm moving on. And I will never have to revisit this again because I will master it. So that's what this experience offers you. The opportunity to go deep within and take inventory of what's going on. When you don't address your emotional health, you are sabotaging living a soul-fulfilling life. Because that energy does not disappear. I've had the blessing of working with women in the womb sauna from 7 to 80 plus. And there's nothing more amazing to me than when I get an elder in my space who has held something in so long, 30, 40, 50 years, and finally gives herself the gift of being free. Just by talking about it, just by taking a look at it, acknowledging it, telling the truth about how you really feel. You can say you're okay. You can say you're blessed and highly favored. But your womb may be telling you something different. Your womb may be saying, I'm heavy. I'm tired. I'm at capacity. When are we going to deal with what's really inside of you? All right. So I want to, we're right at 8:43 and I could go on and on about this, but if for no other reason, be motivated by the gift of love towards yourself. Love yourself enough to stop being honest with yourself about where you are emotionally and how that's affecting you. And do something. Step one, come up with a plan. You can come up with your own plan, but I would say engage things like the sensual arts. Art is great medicine for when you're needing to heal your heart and nurture yourself. Dancing, painting was an outlet for me. I love painting. I haven't painted in a long time, but when I needed to heal some emotional wounds, painting, poetry. I'm a poet as well. I love that. Love writing, right? So use the arts, use music. If I'm really in a heavy space, that's when the gospel music that women, I come from a singing family of ministers. That's when I put on those old school hymns, like Pass Me Not, Gentle Savior. I'm going through something and I need some divine help right now. Or I'll put in, depending on what it is, I'll put in one of my old school Erykah Badu CDs, whatever I need. But music is one of those tools that can affect your subconscious mind without your permission. So even though your mind may be saying, this is heavy, you should be depressed, and if you put on some music that can lift your spirit, all of a sudden, just by hearing that, it begins to quiet that subconscious mind that is in a toxic state. So use music. You can use meditative music. There are musics that correlate with certain chakras and certain organs. There are certain sounds for every single organ in the body. You can learn these things and start incorporating that into your plan. All right. Use prayer and ritual in your spirituality. There's some stuff that when it came up for me, I had to face it head on and I went straight into spirit because I know that my most powerful position is in spirit. All right. So I go into the ethers and clean up shop. Sometimes I got to go in with a machete. Sometimes I can go in peace. But whatever I need to come out of that place in, I'm coming out with it. So look at that. What is your daily spiritual practice? And how can that foundation support your emotional health? When you get mad at your boo thing, instead of going to him, expecting him to fix it, let your first step be, I'm going to spirit to get what I need so that I could come at a higher vibration to the experience. Because I know that I'm complete. And that it's not my partner's job to address my insecurities. and my wounds that that partner may not have even created, but may be a representation of in the moment, right? So these are things you can be working and using, all right? And so let's go ahead and open up the Hangout. We got some viewers. I'm going to check the Q&A box. I forgot at the beginning to let you know that it is there. I want to hear how this information has resonated with you tonight. Go and click that Q&A tab. Give me your feedback. Ask your questions. This is a space where we get to really share and talk. And so I want to hear from you. You can go ahead and type your feedback or your questions in the Q&A box. When I ask you to grab your pen and paper and write the first word that came to your mind about how your heart is doing, what was that word? Who wants to share? You'd be surprised. I wonder if anybody has the same words. And again, you'll see that blue Q&A box where you can ask questions and dialogue with me. And again, for those of you who may have joined us late while y'all are getting your thoughts together and putting it in the Q&A box. So all of these hangouts that I'm doing right now are to prepare us for the fall when we're going to do this 6-week womb healing intensive. It's going to be powerful. I know y'all probably say, Tamer says that about everything, but that's my calling. Everything that I have been called to do is all for your personal empowerment. And so if you want to be a part of that, we're in early registration mode until July 31st. And you can secure your spot with a financial incentive. And the way that you can register for this 6-week experience is by going to thewombsauna.com. You'll see our event tab, and you'll see register for an upcoming event. You scroll down and you'll see our 6-week womb healing intensive. It's going to be powerful. It's already getting packed. We already have women signing up. And again, for those 6 weeks, you will have the accountability and structure and support that you need to go deep within and end this year being the woman you know you are here to be on this planet. And that absolutely results in a physical transformation of your body. Most of us are dealing with things physically because we have no clue who we are and why we're here. So the physical body is trying to wake you up and get you to do that inward work so you can be the fullness of yourself. So that's what we're going to be doing in those 6 weeks. We're going to be manifesting stuff, getting our coins, getting our love life where we want it to be as a group of women. It's going to be exciting. And you need to be clear, everybody in this intensive is not broken. There's going to be women who have some stuff to heal, but there's going to be a lot of women who are here to access the power to manifest. Okay, so these are all beautiful things that we're going to share together during those 6 weeks. So I can't wait for y'all to connect with it and secure your spot. So we got some conversation in the chat box. My girl Amanda is here again. Hey, love. Hey, beautiful. So Amanda's heart said long and alive. Interesting, long. Maybe your heart is communicating to you how vast it is, your capacity to be loving, compassionate. I don't know, but that's an interesting message. Meditate with that. See what creative ideas come to your mind as you can continue to connect, with your heart. Love that. Beautiful. Long and alive. So Amanda, you're probably the type of woman that loves very deeply and completely. And that means you probably walk in very transformative love. So when the temptation comes to pull it back, you're supposed to go head first, dive in, because that's where the power is for you and your freedom to express the depth of your love and your compassion. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, my dear. Thank you so much. I love it. I love it. Check in the Q&A box to see if we have any other feedback, questions. I always love sharing this space with you. Many of you have been so moved to connect with these hangouts. And I notice who are the people who, when we put stuff out for the room sauna, are always like, yes, I'm signing up. I'm there, Tama. I appreciate that. I will hold this space and talk about the stuff I'm talking about. If it was one person or a million, for me, it is the greatest reward to even be able to leverage things like technology and the different tools that we have to be able to hold these conversations. So I love each and every one of you who have attended any of our events. And thank you for your support and your presence. It allows me to see myself in others. And it is my joy. That's why I left corporate America to do this. It's my high. So I'm very excited when we have moments like this to connect. Anybody else have any other questions, feedback, things you want to share on the Hangout while we're live? We're getting ready to close out. Anything else you want to share? You can just hit that Q&A button and leave your feedback. All right. Take what we talked about tonight and really reflect on it. Take inventory of yourself. Take inventory of your life, your heart, where you are emotionally, and see if you are complete. All right. And where you may find that there might be some stuff going on within me that I need to really take a good look at. Use some of those tools we talked about. And become a part of this 6-week experience. Because you definitely, let me tell you something about accountability. It's hard to hide in the presence of other women because you will see yourself in each other. And I don't know why some of us run from that depth of connection, because it is a form of intimacy. So we should embrace that and leverage that in our process of moving forward. But we run and we hide from it sometimes, when in all truth, we really should be connecting to that and using that to our advantage. And in indigenous communities where they're very comfortable with that, you will notice they don't have the kind of woman balances that we have, because they've learned how to leverage the power of community and accountability. And we got to open back up to that and stop hiding. Amanda's chiming in again. She said this moved her so much. She's blushing and gushing. I love it. I am too. I'm on cloud 9. I hate that we have to wrap it up, but we do. We do. I have a full weekend. I'll be in Philly this weekend, and I got to finish packing. I don't know why I wait to the last minute to pack, but that's just something that I do sometimes. So I'm finished packing up for that. But thank you again, everyone who's chiming in. I know many of you will also listen to the recording of this. And if there are questions or things that come to your mind while listening to the recording, you can comment on the video and I'll get a notification, and I'll be able to respond to your questions and your feedback. And Amanda has one more thing. And just to be accountable, I'm using some of what we learned tonight to address how I react to emotional hurt. Yes, and I'm going to give you this nugget, Amanda, as you do that. My spiritual father told me, he said, listen, when emotions of disappointment, anger, frustration, or I'm hurt come up, it's because there's something you are resisting. So what that taught me was, when I would get frustrated with someone, or I would get disappointed, or my feelings would get hurt, instead of immediately reacting, I would take a moment and ask myself, what are you resisting? What I discovered by doing that was that a lot of the times I wanted control. I wanted that person to show up the way I wanted them to in that moment. And when they did not, I took it personal and I got upset about it. So that was a tool that helped me realize how my ego, because ego and controlling energy are the same. That controlling impulse is driven by the ego, whose job is to create drama and keep you in a fear-based state of thinking that you're not safe in an experience. And so that helped me to surrender and say, I accept that this person didn't want to show up the way I wanted them to. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get what I want. It just means that I may not get it from this person in this moment the way I think I want it to come. And then the next layer of that revelation for me was, sometimes the way I thought I needed to receive it in that moment is actually not what I needed. And because I had a contrast, I was able to learn more about what I truly need. So we got to let stuff become more fluid and move like water when it comes to how we respond to our emotions. So Amanda, yes, you will continue to thrive and be the powerful sister that you are. And you will be very mindful of your emotions and how you react. So thank you for sharing that. She said, I want the accountability now. Let me put out here what I'm going to do when I leave this hangout. I love it. That's how you do it. You dive right into action mode. You dive right in. All right, power people, we're going to go ahead and shut it down for tonight. I hope you enjoy your weekend. For those of you who are in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, you know that we have a lot of events here this weekend. We're doing our gemstone shopping field trip, and we're going to have a lot of fun getting our crystals and stuff. So I can't wait to see y'all on Saturday. And Sunday, I'll be at the Philadelphia Hair Show. And so for those in the Philly area, I can't wait to see you. All of our announcements are on our website, thewombsauna.com. So all you have to do is connect. You're also more than welcome to go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/womb sauna, and subscribe to our events. And you'll always get a notification from Facebook of upcoming events that we put on Facebook. And lastly, I love your feedback. So if there's something about these hangouts that has blessed you, you can leave a review either through our Facebook page, give us a star rating and leave your feedback, or there's a button on our testimonial tab that you can click on and leave your feedback. All right, peace and blessings, power people. Put your hands up in the air and just repeat after me and say, I am whole. I am complete. I am love. I give myself permission to feel how I feel without judgment. I am ready to master having a plan to process my emotions that cause me higher. I'm not scared of this process, and I know that every resource and every tool that I need to do that is released to me even now. Be blessed. I can't wait until the fall where we do this 6-week experience. Is going to be life transforming. And I can't wait for our next Google Hangout. So make sure you're connected. I'm sending out the announcements. Many of you also get the notifications on our Google page as well. And so we're going to continue to expand on some of these tools. Peace and blessings. Take care.